And welcome to Loyola General Medicine. I just want to give a brief orientation on Loyola Gen Med. So starting off service, you always want to get sign out, and as the seniors begin on the weekend and interns finish on the weekend, and new interns don't start until Monday, it's important to ensure that appropriate sign out is happening over the weekend as well. Your typical day on Loyola Gen Med, get sign out from the night team at 6 a.m. Between 6 a.m. and 8:15, you're going to be pre-charting and pre-rounding on your patients. Then between 8:15 and 9 a.m., dependent upon the day, there are different things scheduled. So Monday, orientation for the two new Gen Med teams that will take place at 8:15. Tuesday and Wednesday will be our team-based morning reports. You will be presenting your morning report on the second and third weeks that you're on Loyola Gen Med. Thursday, no lecture, and then Friday, a chief-based morning report or med student evals, alternating every other week, and the schedule can be found on the Loyola Gen Med calendar. Then between 9 and 11 a.m., you'll be rounding with your attendings. At 11 a.m., wind rounds start, and looking at the schedule, so Loyola Gen Med 1 and 2 will do wind rounds at 11 a.m., 3 and 4 will start at 11:10 a.m. The location for wind rounds is dependent upon where your patient is. So patients that are on 2 North South, 6 North, and 6 Southwest are in room 3620. And patients that are on 3rd floor, 3 Northwest, and 3 Southeast, you'll be meeting for wind rounds in room 3636. Both of these rooms can be found at the very north end of the hospital. Go past the double doors all the way to the end of the building, turn left, and that's where both of these rooms can be found. Between 12:15 and 1 p.m., sometimes or noon on Tuesdays or on Fridays with CPC, that's when we'll have noon conference. 1 p.m. to 5 p.m., patient care, student teaching, and admissions. And then 5 p.m. is sign out to the night team. All right, weekends and cross cover. So on the weekends, there will be one senior from one team that stays until 5 p.m., so starts at 6 a.m., ends at 5 p.m., and one intern from a different team that will be working along as well from 6 a.m. until 5 p.m. This schedule can be found on the website as well on the calendar. A senior means that this is the senior that is working from 6 until noon and then can sign out to the late intern. The A overnight staff means that the intern admits to their own team and can sign out at noon to the late intern. And then again, so the late intern and senior will be designated on the calendar. Important to note that admissions that arrive before noon are to be done by the team that is accepting the patient. Holiday staffing. So on observed holidays, Gen Med teams will function like a weekend. So there will be both an intern and senior that are assigned to work the late shift. And this is also on the calendar designated by the day before, that the team that is overnight staffing the day before will be working the long on the holiday. I'll go over this when we look at the calendar in just a minute or two. All right, so every patient needs an H&P and a daily progress note. It's important that if an intern does an admission, that seniors must write an addendum on any intern H&P, and medical student notes do not count for a daily progress note. Some student teaching expectations. So the medical students are expected to carry at least 2 to 3 patients every day. And it's important for the med students to let their team know when they do have lectures and will not be there. We do have dental and OMFS resident rotators that are assigned to either Gen Med 1 or 2. They do not work weekends. In order to contact the pharmacist for Gen Med, they all will be logged into the appropriate team pager, the pharmacy team pager. Sometimes these pharmacists will round with you, but if you ever need to contact them, make sure to reach out to them through the pager. We do have a Meds to Beds program at Loyola. There's more information that can be found on this link. You can also find if your patient qualifies for Med to Beds on Epic. There's a chart listed Meds to Beds You can also ask their bedside nurse to know if they have meds to beds. Care management discharge coordinators. So these are the 2 points of contact, Christian Amador and Dylan Haig. If you ever need help finding someone to help facilitate with discharges. Otherwise, the social workers and our case managers will be logged into Epic under the patient staffing who is assigned to that patient, and you can always reach out to those individuals on either AMS Connect or Epic. Just ensure that your patients at discharge have appropriate follow-up, especially with a PCP or whoever else they may need follow-up with. I want to go over the new Loyola Gen Med drip admission cycle rules, which started on August 1st. So now patient placement will be checking census at 7 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. At the 7 a.m. check, all patients are counted regardless of whether or not there is a discharge order, and this census is locked until 3 p.m. Between 3 p.m. and 7 a.m., the census is considered rolling, or if a patient has a discharge order in, they no longer count towards that team's census. Gen Meds 1 through 4 may never go above 44 patients, even for a bounce back. Each Gen Med team must go to 10 before any team should go to 11. The exception to this is when there's a bounce back to a certain team that can go to 11 before other teams go to 10. And then each individual's team cap is 11 patients. So even with a bounce back, a team will never go above 11 patients. We are on a drip cycle for admissions to Gen Med. And it should always go to the next team, not the team with the fewest patients. It's important to note that admission numbers for the teams only apply to patients being admitted to the general medicine service. So this doesn't apply to hepatology or BMTU admits, which go to the residents, or OBS, heart failure, pulmonary transplant admits that go to the hospitalist. This is applicable for overnight. And there will be no differences in specific groups of patients that are appropriate for admission to Gen Med, either to the hospitalist or the residence teams. So outside hospital transfers can go to both hospitalist or resident teams. So the new admission structure is as follows. So between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m., the patient placement will be following a census algorithm where residents go to 36 and hospitalists to 65, then residents to 40 and hospitalists to 70, then residents to 44, then hospitalists admit all admissions thereafter. This new change where Loyola Gen Med admissions between 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. will be done on an admission ratio basis. So it'll be 3 admissions to the hospitalist to each 1 admission to the resident service. The prime directive, though, is that teaching teams should not exceed 40 unless the hospitalists are at 70. And then at 8 p.m. this changes, and between 8 p.m. and 7 a.m. the admission ratio changes to a 1-to-1 admission ratio. Admissions to Gen Med as MICU downgrades are distributed at 7 a.m. by patient placement and need to be done before noon. All other requests for transfers to general medicine must be approved by hospital medicine. Let's see, bounce backs occur at Loyola within the last 2 weeks, and they're not dependent upon the senior or the attending that are on that team. Night flow interns and seniors between 5 p.m. and 6 a.m., and you should be staffing at 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. at this time. Random night coverage, so interns that are ranking come in at 5 p.m. on the day of their night shift on Friday night, meaning they do not work during the day on Friday and should be leaving on Thursday at 4 p.m. If the team's intern is ranking on a Friday, then other seniors should be admitting to the team who has an intern ranking and whose senior is alone. So admissions should still go to that team, but should be done by the other Gen Med teams and not the team that is down an intern. In September of 2024, we no longer have a HEMOC service. We still do have a BMTU service. As a result of this, many HEMOC patients are admitted to the Gen Med teams, and the criteria for admission to BMTU are as listed below. I do want to go over our calendar as well. So throughout the week, there really is no difference between the teams and the admission cycle. The Gen Med morning report, GMMR 1 and 2, this is Gen Med 1 presenting and Gen Med 2 presenting. And then knowing whether or not on Fridays what the schedule is. So med student evals occurring 1 week, alternating with Gen Med morning report chief based report. Again, we also have orientation on Monday for the new teams. So on this date, it was Gen Med teams 1 and 2 for orientation. Then looking at the weekends, so when it says Gen Med 1A, senior 6 to 5, this is the late senior. This is the senior that can sign out at noon. Intern 6 to 5 is the late intern. And if it says GM4A overnight, this is the short intern working 6 a.m. until noon. Again, thinking about holidays, so for example, the July 4th holiday, the team that was overnight the day prior, so on Thursday, July 3rd, it was Gen Med 4. This is the team that will be working the late, both the intern and the senior, from 6 a.m. until 5 p.m. On that day. All right, that's it for our Gen Med orientation. Please reach out to any of the chiefs or email myself, Veronica Williams, for any questions regarding Gen Med. Welcome to Gen Med, and I hope you guys have a good time.